start. So I don't want to care about Altman-Z. It's less fancy. Ohlson-O is much more disgusting as if we are looking on this. yeah. So yeah, it's ugly. It's longer and it contains different things, but let's use this one. So how to do this? Let's build up the components at first, because in this case it will be easier to do the ratios from the components and then to build up the entire function instead of just putting together the data, because that would be really hard. So let's copy everything. So all the variable names to our Excel sheet. So what do we need here? We need the input data. You can still see this, I think. Since we have 5 years ahead, so let's define it as well, because in this case we will see the process of consolidation. So maybe in the first 2 years the company will have troubles at the level of bankruptcy probability, but later on it starts to improve. At least this is what we are hoping for. And then let's start to bring the data. So total assets. We have to go to the profit and loss statement sheet because there is the balance sheet, and here we have this huge total number. So this is obviously the total asset. It's supposed to be the same like here, but it's not. So let's focus on total assets. In accounting they should be the same, but since I downloaded this data from Reuters, maybe they skipped some stuff. Then I think this is the hardest thing, because we have to look for the gross national product of France. So Google is our friend. Hopefully we got something. Okay, Google is still speaking Hungarian, but it says that, oh come on, in dollars, I need in euros. Trading economics? Yes, I can do it in, I calculated, but oh come on. Whatever. So this is the first data what we can find here. So this is actually 3,389 million US dollars. So if we are taking this number here, and still we have to convert it to US dollars, which is not that great because right now the US dollar is absolutely yes. So but we need it backwards. We need USD EU. Yeah. Usually if I'm doing some investments, market prefers to go in the other way, but I think that some zeros are still missing. Are you sure? I think that 3 zeros are at least missing from this thing. I think it's, the company should still smaller than the gross national product, so let's assume it will be constant. We are not thinking about economic growth because we are not on macroeconomic class, so it will be the same. Then we need total liabilities. So let's go back to profit and loss statement sheet. It will be practically this will be really good because still need time to way additional because it was milliard. Yeah. Yes, but we are already in million euros. So that's why the 3 zeros are enough. Let's calculate the ratio of this. But I think, yeah, I think it's reasonable. So it will be funny because when we were analyzing foreign exchange exposure, then we can also build in here. Okay, so total liabilities. Profit and loss statement. We have here everything. So let's say that we are summing it up. Sum. Okay, here we have the other categories. So still we can have considerations about how to deal with them, but right now let's add everything together, and if we have dubious numbers, then we are coming back and check it again. Yeah. Working capital. We had working capital last time as well, so it's quite close to floating capital. So we have to say that okay, the difference between current liabilities and current assets. So first we have to load in this kind of data. Current liabilities plus this one. I don't like this other, but this is what we have here. And of course, there will be another category here as well, so hopefully they will balance out each other. Current asset minus current liabilities. Okay, they are not balancing each other out too much, but still something. Okay, so were there any cases if the total liabilities were bigger than total assets? Luckily not, so still we have a stable-ish company. Then we need the net income, which is pre-tax profit. So let's go to the value, not the value, profit and loss statement, and pre-tax profit for each year. Oh my god, funds from operations. Yeah, this is where we need cash flow statistics data, but we don't have. So this will be 0 in this case because we need an additional sheet for that, but right now let's zero it out. Epsilon 0 if a net loss for the last 2 years, otherwise, sorry, if it's 1 if there was a net loss in the last 2 years, otherwise 0. I don't know what happened before, but we can assume that it was nearly 0, so we can say it's 1. And also we can see that in the first 2 years it will be in losses. So 1, 1, the last 2 years. So here we had also zeros, so that's a negative number. So practically everything is 1 except the last year when it's now it disappears finally. Good. Then we can calculate the ratios. So second point, ratios. So what do we need here? Not this one, but I'm copying here the entire equation because and the remaining part as well, because in this case it is just because in this case we can see it and we can copy it from here and there. So we can start with this part. So let's take the logarithm of the total asset to GDP ratio, so the relative size. So total assets divided by GNP. The reason why it's not GDP, because obviously you don't want to care about the amortization or the depreciation of the economy, so that's why it's just and also because it's national, so it means that foreign companies are also not considered here so much. Then we can go sideways. Then total liabilities to total assets, so leverage. Total liabilities divided by total assets. If it's bigger than 1, then we are in the trouble, but at least we are not. From this point of view. Then the next thing will be working capital divided by the total assets. Since it was negative, it will be negative here as well, so for the short run we can have issues, so at least the funding is a bit aggressive. Then current liabilities divided by current assets. Again, this is, if it's bigger than 1, then we are using aggressive funding, so we are operating much more on short run than it would be in a conservative case. Then we already have the X, so we don't have to care about the X right now. And we have, or should we? Well, let's put here the X as well. Because we can make maybe easier the script writing later on. Doesn't matter because it's 0, but let's keep it here. Then net income to total assets. So if we are making any profit, then how it's related to the size of the company. So it's some kind of efficiency. Hamster operation to total assets. You know that right now is zeroed out, but maybe in the future we can improve this. Sorry, total liabilities. Yeah. Still 0, but in a different way. Epsilon. It's not 0, since we had losses. And now this is the beautiful. Okay. So how net income was changing in time? This is doing something or just reflection changes? Ah, okay, just reflection. So we don't have data from the last year. So we will assume that in the first year nothing happens, and then we will have data to process. So let's define it not for the first column but for the second column, because it will be easier for us to do it this way. So bracket opens, net income this year minus the previous net income, then divided by it's ups. Perfect, so it's absolute value minus. So how the net income was increasing or decreasing? Mathematically this is correct, so let's see what is happening if I'm scrolling ahead. And here we are writing 0, so it was not changing compared to the previous year. But after that things will happen. And yeah. Right now I'm thinking that how can we make it easier? Yeah, so we have to multiply everything with constants, which were coming from some regressions in the past. So it's easier to say that, okay, let's use up this column here, because if we are multiplying these numbers from the column here in this column there, then it will be, I think, the simplest way, because here we just have to sum them up, and after that we get the results. So this requires, I think, the smallest amount of manual labor. So let's copy all the related coefficients to this place. And we should not forget about that if something is negative, then it's negative. I should not forget the minus numbers, and also I should not forget the constants. But this one is related to the x. Okay, so the next thing is third point, the O score must be defined. So first of all, we have to do the multiplication. So this number is multiplying this number, but we have to fix here the column. So we are using, we have to fix it this way. So the dollar mark is in the front of the A, but not in front of the 14, because if we are carefully scrolling it over, then we can see that this is fixed that way. And if we are scrolling down, then we can see that now it assigns. Now we can see that it starts to go down. and also we can do it easily, and then we can say that the O score will be constant. We have this stupid minus 1.32 plus some all this stuff above, and we got a number. Yay! So again, the trick was only that, okay, we define the coefficients here, then we just multiply this with here, just we use the careful dollar mark here in front of the A, then we were able to scroll it sideways and pull it down, and then all the multiplications are done. In MATLAB it would be simpler because we just need a partial multiplication between two matrices, or between a vector and a matrix, but here we can do the same thing, because after that we have to sum it up and we have to add this constant from the beginning. And now we have the O score, but still we have to convert it to probability. So this is the last point. Probability of default. And I'm not sure that I remember that there were two mistakes in the lecture notes. One was in the case of the CAPM when there was a plus when it's supposed to be negative, and I think that also there was some confusion. So if it will be not good at the first try, then that's the reason that. So E equals E on O. Okay, this is not the. Yeah, divided by. I'm not sure this is the right ordering, but we will test it. So, in Excel language, we need exp. And this. Dividing by 1 minus exp. Yeah. This is not good. It's not good because what is happening downstairs? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Actually plus.
Sorry?
It's actually divided by 1 plus.
1 plus, yes, yes. You are right. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so maybe we should consider. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible, but percentage. We should consider to deal with the other categories. So I mentioned when we were calibrating the raw data here that we all had these other liabilities, other assets, and they were such huge values. So first let's remove them. So let's reconsider how we did this structuring, and this is beneficial for us that okay, we defined everything piece by piece, because now we just have to dig in and let's see that what is happening there. We have to consider also that okay, the case of total liabilities or current liabilities and current assets, we are removing them, but after this we should maybe recalibrate also total liabilities and also total assets, because if you are not considering them somewhere, then also we should remove them from the rest of the balance sheet, because otherwise it would just create troubles for us. And of course we could change the coding here, but we can go to the profit and loss statement and we can say that. And let's make a let's make a save from this thing that this was the original thingy, and then let's say that what is happening if I'm zeroing. What? Yeah, it's already. So if I'm zeroing out this other category, because others among the assets, they are reasonable. So property, intangible, cash, inventory. So at least it's transparent. The case of liabilities, this one is also not transparent. This one is also not transparent. So what is happening if you are looking? Oh my god. At accounting lecture, I would fail because they are absolutely not talking to each other. This one is way smaller than this one is way bigger. Okay, so that's why we are using total assets or ratio. And after I did these modifications, this is evolving just backwards, as classics are saying. Something can be still biased here. Maybe what is happening with funds from operations? So yeah, but it's, if you are using this is a negative number. So if you are zeroing it out, then it's practically improving our status. So it's not that problemous. Maybe we were pessimistic at the epsilon 1. Yeah, but if something is positive here, it means that it's increasing the probability of default. So this one is, maybe if we are zeroing it out, then there is no downward pressure due to the zeros here, but we are keeping it that way because we don't have any cash flow report, so it would be unreasonable to do so. But the problem is that right now we are in a state of recovery, so should go otherwise. Still, I'm cautious about this thing. So let's check the internet, because the internet is always wiser. Divided by plus. EXPO score is divided by 1 plus. We did this. So it's not related to this problem. Yes, obviously the coefficients have to be okay, so this is also not a problem. Why it's okay here, it's ridiculously low, so that's the reason why we don't have such a problem. And the only number is really low is this. So practically the time-related ratio of the pre-tax data is what is problems for us, because it's also reducing significantly. So maybe if I'm killing this one and also removing this one from the equation, then it will create disturbances. But after that, we have the data here. So
Is it
T minus 1, T minus 1.
Professor?
Yes.
Could it be the minus 1.32?
Now the problem is that here is a plus. Because if you are checking the internet, which is always wiser, then and why would it be negative? So that was a typo. Also in the lecture notes. Yep. That was my bad. Our numbers are much more reasonable. And it's still rubbish, just now it at least is not a mistake. We are going to default. Oh my god, no! I improved the company, so now it's failing miserably. Or at least I removed the funds from operations. So let's emulate something here. So let's see some cash or something. So I'm adding cash reserves because they are negative. No. Still not recovering. What is happening if I zero this out? I know I should not do this. It doesn't matter. So I'll bring it back. Ah, this one is also small. Why I do small? Because we can see that total liabilities to total assets. Total liabilities. What is happening at total liabilities? Ah, I did the zeroing out here, but after that it was not continued. Yeah, because here when I did the zeroing out, then it was referring backwards, so after that I did not check that this is also executing. Ah, now we can see the result of our collective wisdom. This one is improving, this is going nowhere. And even if I'm removing my safety change, so this artificial funds from operation, if I'm not dealing with this one, then still we can say that now there is some improvement. Because I think it's much more reliable not to just make up numbers because, oh, we are making some caches, so let's put it from funds from operation. No, it's not elegant. So we can see that, yeah, the company, the state of the company, at least it will improve. And because we like to do so, then now we have also a chart here which shows us, let's not them. Yeah. So we can increase that, or we can see that now it's increasing, improving a bit. For me it's quite shocking because we did a lot to improve the profitability and it's absolutely not recognized. And I think that now we were able to dig up all the problems here. So we have working capital, we have net income. Net income is considered here and it's growing. It's also growing. Yeah, it's growing. Just in this case, this last item practically welcomes or so we can see that if there is a growth, then it's highlighted here. But practically the size of our profit or cash reserves are not visible, so that's why we should check how can we emulate this, because otherwise it's yeah, cash flow from operations, just adding depreciation, amortization and losses on sales of assets on earnings. Subtracting any gains on sales and assets. Yeah, so we are taking EBIT and we are adding back depreciation, and we have some kind of funds from operations here, and at least we can emulate or not even. The cash reserve we have to do up EBIT plus depreciation, and it will close to data, because now we can have an information also about our cash changes, what is happening with the status of the company, so how well cushioned it is against external shocks. So okay, so we can see now some improvement, so compared to the previous case. And just for fun, let's see that what is happening if we are using the same thing. Obviously, after that I will upload it to CoSpace. So if we are using the same thing here, so let's paste just the formulas. But not from case study. Oh, I hate when Excel does this. Ctrl F, replace this thing. Yay! Okay. So now we can see that we saved the company because this. Because if we would don't do anything, then let's not compare to peer with Apple, so others should be removed as well in the name of transparency. And still we can say that yes, it will react badly and it will die. So I think that if we are reaching 99.68%, then it's a bad. Even if you are funded by state money and by different national budgets, still it's all Okay, still we have some time, so let's see that what would happen when we are using Altman-Z score, because Altman-Z requires the similar inputs, just a smaller amount of similar inputs. So how can we do this in an efficient way? Meaning with the smallest amount of manual labor. Let's bring you here. Because we can say that if both ratios are saying similar stuff, that we are going far away from the default, then we can say that we have a robust strategy which improves not just the value of the company, but also the survivability or robustness Altman-Z. Yes, I have all this x1 and x2 and x3. Okay, I have to reduce their size. Aria 12. So current asset minus current liabilities divided by total assets. Let's build this thing up. What was that? Current asset. This minus this divided by total assets. Retained earnings. From the profit and loss statement, we have here the retained earnings and divided by total assets. Earnings before interest and taxes, so EBIT, divided by total assets. Poor thing, it's negative in the first 2 years, but after that we recover so much. Book value of equity divided by total liabilities. This will be a constant. Total liabilities, here we have them. Okay, total liabilities are changing, so it should not be a constant, but we will provoke it later. We will check it what is happening if we are using actual value, but right now it's good. Sales to total assets. Obviously we don't have classical, but we have sales because we have revenues here, so and divided by total assets. Here. So if I did not make any mistakes, let's copy Altman-Z here, because now we just have to copy the coefficients like we did it before. Oh, in decimal points? No, it's decimal comma, because we are in Central Europe. We have to change the points to commas, otherwise it will not work. Even if I switch the Excel to English mode. I don't know why we are doing this. I mean, why is the difference between decimal commas and decimal points? Because I know that in German territories they are always doing the same thing, in Czechia they have always the same thing, but why this conversion is not automatic between Excel sometimes? Okay, so we can now do the multiplication like we did it. So this number multiplies this number, but we are using the dollar mark this direction, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Onwards, we are checking that we are referring on the proper numbers here. Also, if you are checking that one, this is multiplied with this one, so it's okay. And then we just have to sum it up. Okay, we could do manually by typing in everything, but this is... At least if there is a mistake, then we can find it sooner or later. So, and now we have the Altman-Z score. I have a physicist friend who is Zoltan, and we are always... So his nickname is Z, so he's with us. And wow. This should go in another direction, I think. But what is the threshold? So that's why I don't like the Z-score. Let's put it here in a different place. So if we have this thing, then... Oh, sorry, it should go upwards. Okay, so it's going in a good direction. Because if we have smaller than 1, 2, 3, then it's bad. So there is a high chance to go to default in the next business years, and still has a high chance to go to default 2 years later, and even, yeah. And if the Z is bigger, than this number, then this will be green. Maybe you are. Too big. So we can say that it is improving because at least in the 4th year we are above the valley of death, so after that it's higher. Okay, we can make it nicer by saying that, let's define 1, 2, 3, and in a different row 2.9, and let's add all 3. We are using this Altman-Z apostrophe because the original Altman-Z was for public listed companies, and the apostrophe is for the private companies. So that's the reason why we have this. Now we can color them up, so we can give it a welcoming green line. It's also dotted because it's just a threshold. And this one is a red line. It's also dotted, and this is the actual. We can even remove the thing from here, so we can see that Now we are in the gray zone, so it's absolutely not perfect, but at least we improved. We were able to come out from the possible default. And obviously now we should ask the question that, okay, but what is happening in the case of the original company? So let's copy this. It's coming right after. Yeah. Yeah, I have to still. What's your problem? Okay, so replace all. Yeah. Oh, no. I did the wrong copy paste because I have to paste in the formulas, not the numbers. And now I have to remove the. What is your problem? We have find replace. So we would like to remove this file from the equation. Replace all. Why do you want to update? Oh my god. Because I think we can cancel, then it's not working. We were able to do this trick once. Because yes, there is a reason, because the sheet name is not the same. Okay. So if I copy and paste it again, then the problem will be solved. Perfect. So now we can see the improvements. Which is happening. Just the sad thing is that still we are emulating a real company which is not planning to improve. So right now we can see the possible future. For ArianeSpace, if they are doing nothing at all, or if they are doing the same thing like they did during the last recent 5 years. So ESA started some programs, just usually there is no funding, not enough funding, so they have this Prometheus engine only, and it's still under development, so usually sleeping until some external shock is happening, and then they have to go to problem solving mode. So we can see that, yeah,